All right, for lesson 7 of chapter 1, we addressed multiplying by multi-digit numbers. So now we're moving away from just multiplying a number that has 2 place values or 3 place values or 4 place values by a 1-digit number to now we're multiplying a number by a number that has 2 place values and sometimes 3 place values and sometimes even 4 place values. So let's take a look at some examples. The first one that I have here is 28 times 18. We're going to start this problem off the exact same way we did when we only had a 1-digit number we were multiplying by. So we're going to first estimate. So I need to first think. If my number is 28, I'm going to look to the 8 to tell me what to do to this 2. So I want to round. I want to estimate my answer. So I know that this 8 is telling me I need to bump up this 2. So I need to add 1 to the 2 and make it 3. So I've turned it into 30. Now if I look at this 18, the second number, this 8 is telling me that I should probably bump this 1 up to a 2. I should move it up 1 number. So I've turned it into 20. So now I have an easy math fact. 3 times 2, which is 6, and I have 2 zeros. So I have 2 zeros to add on. So that is 600. Because 30 times 20 is 600. So this estimate is telling me that my actual answer that I come up with should be pretty close to my estimate. Now, let's set this problem up the right way. So, like the lesson before, I give each number its own box to keep myself organized throughout this problem. So I have my 2 and my 8, and then I'm going to put my 1 and my 8. So my 8s are both in the 1's place value. I'm going to line them up. And my 2 and 1 are both in the 10's place value, so I am lining those up. I put my multiplication symbol in my line. Now, I'm going to totally ignore this 1. I'm going to cover it up, and I'm going to forget about it until I'm ready for it. So I'm first starting with the 8, which is in the 1's place value. And we know how to multiply a number like this, 28 times 8. So first, I start with the 1's. So 8 times 8 is 64. Put my 4 down below. And since I still have a number here to multiply by, I'm going to put my 6 right above it. And now I'm going to say 8 times 2 is 16. And I'm going to add this 6, which I know 16 plus 6 is 22. So I'm going to put my 2 underneath the 10's place value. And since I have no more numbers over here to write my 2 above it, I'm going to put my 2 right next to it. And this becomes 224. Now, we need to get to this 1, which is in the 10's place value. So I'm going to cross off the 6 up top because I'm no longer going to need that. And now I'm going to forget about this 8. Now I'm thinking in my head 28 times 1. But really it's not 1. It's really saying 10 because it's in the 10's place value. So since I'm starting in the 10's place value, I need to have one of my favorite people fly in, Harry Houdini. He just flies out of nowhere. Harry Houdini is a place value holder. So because I'm moving to the 10's place value, he needs to hold this spot in the 1's place value because I'm starting in the 10's place value. So now I'm forgetting about this 8, and I'm going to do the exact same thing with this 1. I'm going to start off by saying 1 times 8. 1 times 8 is 8. So I'm going to write that in the 10's place value because that's where I'm starting. And now, still forgetting about this 8 here, I'm saying 1 times 2. 1 times 2 is 2. So I'm going to write that here in the hundreds place value. My numbers are lined up perfectly. You want to make sure that the place values are all lined up because our next step is to add them together. And if they're all scribbled all over the place and they're not lined up, it becomes hard to know which numbers to add together. So we want to keep our work nice and neat. So 4 plus 0 is 4. 2 plus 8 is 10. Carry my 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 2 is 5. So my actual answer is 504, which is pretty close to 600. So I know that it is correct. Let's look at another one. My problem here is 24 times 15. So before I even tried to do the problem, I want to first estimate. So I want to think 24 and 15. What could I round these two numbers to create a basic math fact? So 24, I know, rounds to 20 because this 4 is telling me that I need to keep this 2 the same. So I'm turning it into 20. 15, this 5, is telling me that I can move this 1 to a 2. I can add 1 more to this and make it 20. So here's my basic math fact. 2 times 2 is 4, and I have 2 zeros to add on. So this estimate is telling me that my actual answer should be pretty close to this estimate. So let's set up my problem. The 2 gets its own box. The 4 gets its own box. I keep them in their own boxes to keep it organized. Now I'm going to do the same thing to the 15. The 1 is going to go right below the 2 in the tens place value, and the 5 is going to go right below the 1s in the ones place value. I draw my line and my multiplication symbol, and I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did for the problem before. So I'm going to start with the ones place value. So I'm going to totally forget about this 1 here. I'm going to forget about, so it looks like my problem is 24 times 5, which we know how to do from the previous lesson, lesson 6. So let's multiply. 5 times 4 is 20. Bring down my 0, and because I still have a number up here, I'm going to put my 2 up top. Now I'm going to move to the tens place value. 5 times 2 is 10, and I'm going to add this 2 here. So 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. Put my 2 down below, and I'm going to look, I have no more numbers to multiply with. So I'm going to put my 1 right down here is the hundreds place value. See, my numbers are still organized in their columns and in their boxes. Now, I'm going to cross off this 2 up top because I no longer need it. So, I'm moving to the tens place value. So I need to have Harry Houdini, my 0, fly in. He flies in from nowhere. Harry Houdini is a place value holder, because I'm starting in the tens place value this time, not in the ones. So remember I said it's like I'm forgetting about this 5 here. I'm just going to cover it up because now I want my problem to say 24 times 1. I want to focus on this 1, and I'm going to do the exact same thing I did with the 5. I'm going to say 1 times 4 is 4. So since I'm starting in the tens place value, this answer is going to go in the tens place value. So I'm going to write this 4 below the 2. Now I'm going to cover this 5 back up, and I'm saying 1 times 2. 1 times 2 is 2. And since that's already taken up in the tens place value, I'm going to put that in the 100s place value. My last step is to add them up, and it's easy because they're nice, neat rows. So now I have 0 plus 0 is 0, 2 plus 4 is 6, and 1 plus 2 is 3. So 360 is my actual answer, and that's pretty close to 400. So I know it checks out. Let's do one more. I have this problem, 5,271 times 129. Before I do anything, I want to first estimate. So I want to think, what can I turn 5,271 into? What can I round it to? Well, this 2 next to the 5 is telling me that I should probably keep this 5 the same thing. I shouldn't move it, shouldn't touch it. So I'm going to keep the 5, and everything after it turns into a 0. Now, look to the 129. This 2 next to this 1 is telling me that I should keep this 1 as it is. So I kept the 1 as it is and took everything else and turned it into a 0. So now I can do 5 times 1 is 5, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 zeros. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. I'll put my comma. So I know my actual answer should be pretty close to 500,000, which is my estimated answer. So let's set this problem up the correct way. So I'm going to still give each number its own box. So there's my 5, there's the 2, 7, and the 1. They're each organized into their own box. Now I'm going to multiply it by, I'm going to put my 9 below my 1's place value, the 2 below my 10's place value, and the 1 below my 100's place value. Draw my line underneath. So, same process as we just did the other two problems. This time I'm going to cover up the 1 and the 2 and just look at the 9. And we know how to do this problem. 9 times 1 is 9. 9 times 7 is 63. Carry my 6 because I still have spots up top. 9 times 2 is 18. 18 plus 6 is 24. So I'm going to put my 4 below, keeping it in line, and my 2 up top because I still have numbers. 9 times 5 is 45. 45 plus 2 is 47. So I'm going to write the 7 and check. I have no more numbers, so I'm going to put my 4 below. Now, I'm going to cross these numbers off because I'm done with them. Now I need to move to my tens place value. So our favorite character, Harry Houdini, flies in as my placeholder. Now I'm going to cover up the 9 and the 1 because all I want to focus on is this 2 and do the same thing. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 7 is 14. Put my 4 below, lining my numbers up, and carrying my 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. Put my 5 here. And then 2 times 5 is 10. Put my 0, line my numbers up, and then check to see if I have any numbers up here to put my 1 above. I don't have any. So I'm going to put my 1 down here. Now, that takes care of the 9. That takes care of the 2. I'm going to put my line through the 1 because I don't need it. Now I'm going to look to the hundreds place value, the last number. And I'm going to cover up the 2 and the 9. So now, we know how to do a problem like this. But who did I forget? I forgot Harry Houdini, my placeholder. Okay, well that takes care of one of the placeholders. I'm in the hundreds now. So that means my answer needs to start in the hundreds place value. So I actually need to give another Harry Houdini, another placeholder, because I need to start my answer in the hundreds place value. So now I can start multiplying. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 7 is 7. Still lining up my numbers. 1 times 2 is 2. And then 1 times 5 is 5. Same thing, except all I added was another placeholder, another Harry Houdini this time. So my last step is to add them together. 9 plus 0 is 9, keeping them lined up. 3 plus 2 is 5. 4 plus 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. 7 plus 5 plus 7. So 7 plus 7 is 14, plus 5 is 19. Put my 9 down here. Bring up my 1. 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 plus 0 is 5. 5 plus 2 is 7. And then 1 plus 5 is 6. So count 1, 2, 3, comma, 679,959. It's pretty close to 500,000. So I know my answer checked out.